I had some emails. Rush, where was the Christmas music in the bumpers yesterday? Folks, we had a backup broadcast engineer who is an atheist, and I didn't want a lawsuit. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to wait for Mike Mamone, the broadcast engineer, to be back. He knows where they all are. By the way, I'm minding my own business last night. I'm lighting the pine and eucalyptus candles. We're decorating the White House has got nothing on us, Christmas decorations-wise. We've got two gigantic trees. It's just awesome in there. So I'm lighting these pine and eucalyptus candles from Joe Malone, my favorite scent. And it goes perfect this time of year. And I get a bunch of emails. Are you watching the Steelers-Bengals? Of course, I wasn't. So I said, no, you've got to turn this on. You have got to turn. So I said, what is going on? And they said, just turn it on. So I dropped the lighter. I was using to light the pine and eucalyptus candles, and I went in there, and I turned on the game, and it was in the second quarter. And, man, the sports world is in a tizzy over this game last night because it was football the way it used to be played before they found out about CTE and all of that. And the sports writers are just beside themselves. So violent. It can't stand. We've got to stop it. We've got to do something about it. Comments coming up later. Meeting and surpassing all audience expectations every day. You try it. Rush Limbaugh and the EIB Network. And we're happy to have you here for the fastest 3 hours in media. We only have one more to go. And a month ago, if you would have told me that I'd have been talking about the NFL, something unrelated to sideline protests and so forth, I would have told you, nope, you're wrong. But we're going to talk about Steelers-Bengals last night because it has to do with the current state of football, the National Football League, and where it's heading and what's happening to it as a business. So just to retrace my steps here, and this is not going to take long, but grab audio soundbite number 18 and have it standing by. Last night was a rivalry game, Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I need to set this up. The Steelers and Bengals really have not been that big a rivalry. It's been the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. But I think it was a couple years ago. The years run together. The Steelers had a game against the Bengals. It was a playoff game. It was at Cincinnati. And I forget the actual score, but the Steelers were on their way to losing. There were just a few short minutes left in regulation. And the Steelers were down 2 scores. And within about a minute, the Bengals incurred enough penalty yardage for the Steelers to be moved within field goal range to win a game. And the Bengals' penalties were committed by Adam Pac-Man Jones and Vontaze Burfict, and then some penalties for running up against officials and stuff that happened during dead ball periods. I mean, it was just, it was the most mind-boggling way to lose a football game. I could not believe it. Shortly after that, we had an interview here with Benjamin Watson, who's now tight end for the Baltimore Ravens. He's played for New England and so forth, and he's a great guy. He's written a book about Christian morals and how it's gotten him through life. And I asked him about the game. I said, I can't imagine being part of the Cincinnati organization losing a game like that just to settle thug-type scores. And he agreed, but said it's just, those are things that are happening. Well, where's the coaching staff? Why can't coaches discipline these guys into not committing stupid? I mean, fouls running into the officials, objecting when the officials call a penalty, incurring another penalty, unsportsmanlike here. Well, anyway, since that game, there has been a heated rivalry between these two organizations. Even before that game, Pac-Man Jones, number 24, cornerback for the Bengals, who once walked into a strip club in Las Vegas waving $100 bills around. Gunfire ensued, and the bouncer ended up paralyzed. Pac-Man Jones was then sent packing for wherever he was, and Jerry Jones picked him up for Cowboys for a while. He ended up in Cincinnati with his partner and his good buddy, Vontaze Burfict, linebacker number 55. In that previous game, Antonio Brown, the wide receiver for the Steelers, was running a pass route. The ball was high. It was uncatchable. Vontaze Burfict lowered a shoulder into Antonio Brown's helmet, and he was out on the field and injured with a concussion and unable to play the next week in a playoff game against Denver. So there's been bad blood between these two teams for a while. Last night's game is being described as brutal, unnecessary, scary, exactly what the NFL doesn't need right now. The first thing that happened that has people upset, Ryan Shazier, number 50, middle linebacker for the Steelers, was attempting a tackle. Jammed his head into the side of one of the Cincinnati players. You could see it in slow-mo. The neck literally compressed. He hit the deck, immediately grabbed for the center of his back, lower center, and rolled over and was not moving anything below his waist. Immediately, you could tell that there was some degree, it looked like that there was some degree of paralysis. The place got stone quiet. The Steelers staff went out there, immediately got the stretcher, the bodyboard, put him on it, put him on a cart, rolled him out of there. And the Steelers did not offer any updates on his condition throughout the game. They didn't offer any updates till about 1:38 this morning. So everybody was left to speculate and wonder. Shazier was unable to move his left arm very much. He looked in total, complete distress. There was nothing illegal about the hit. He just lowered his head too much when trying to make a tackle. But there was nothing dirty about it. It was just rough. It was just an example of what can happen on the field. And that's the first thing that got people upset. The game then kind of got stale. You could tell that event slowed things down and tamped down some of the momentum and energy. And the Steelers looked like they were sleepwalking. Ended up 17-0 down at halftime. In the second half, there was a play. Roethlisberger rolled left and completed almost a check down pass to number 26, Le'Veon Bell. And out of nowhere, the youngest player in the league, number 19, Juju Smith-Schuster for the Steelers, just comes in and levels Vontaze Burfict. It was the kind of hit that Hines Ward would stand up and applaud. It was a blindside hit, but it caught Burfict in the helmet, in the jaw and the helmet. And Burfict was immediately concussed and out of it. Juju Smith-Schuster, number 19, rookie UCLA, stood over Vontaze Burfict and was accused in a penalty flag thrown for taunting, celebrating the injury of the opponent. The sports writer community had a cow. This is horrible. It was a hit to the head, and now he's standing over it. He thought it was horrible. It's horrible. It shouldn't have this. It's horrible. It's bad. Number 84, wide receiver Antonio Brown, who had been leveled by the same kind of hit by Vontaze Burfict a few years ago, said, "It's karma." Burfict was taken off the field on a stretcher, on a cart, with a concussion. But the story is Burfict got off the stretcher once they got to the tunnel and tried to get back out on the field to settle a score, but they restrained him and he couldn't, and he was ruled out for the game. Later, Antonio Brown, number 84, wide receiver for the Steelers, touchdown catch in the end zone and is leveled by another shot to the head by a Cincinnati defender, and it looked just as vicious as anything Shazier had experienced, just as vicious as what number 19, Juju Smith-Schuster, had dished out to number 55, Vontaze Burfict. Brown laid in the end zone with his arms raised, did not drop the ball, held onto the ball. It was a touchdown catch, and it proved to be the game-tying catch. And the flags through, and it was in unsportsmanlike, intentional, unnecessary roughness, whatever it was. Another penalty. And so those three events, and there were some other things that happened that were chippy during the game. There's some hits that weren't called, but there were three direct shots to the head by the other player's helmet-to-helmet hits, which are illegal now outside the line of scrimmage in the NFL. And they asked Ben Roethlisberger, number 7, quarterback for the Steelers after the game, hey, it's just AFC North football. ESPN sports writers, I guess they have some left after all the layoffs. It's just not right to say it's AFC North football. This must not continue. This must stop. This is horrible. There's no need for this. This is going backwards. This is not what the league did. And the general consensus seems to be that this game last night was horrible. It was absolutely ugly. It was unacceptable. It was not what the league needs. It should be the exact opposite of what the league allows. That game last night, think of me what you will, that game last night is how football used to be played. There were hits like that in pretty much every game. Now, there were not injuries like that, but it was frequent. I mean, it was a different game. They've now legislated by rule helmet-to-helmet contact out. They've fined players. They suspend them. The league is doing everything it can to stop this kind of stuff. And it's now said that the players are going to have to be the ultimate policemen. The players are going to have to realize that they have to protect each other, that they are a fraternity, and that this kind of thing can't go on. Go ahead and have tough tackles and all that, but stop the helmet-to-helmet stuff. The brain injuries, we know too much about them now. They're too long-lasting. They have really demonstrable adverse effects. But this was a game between two teams that really, really don't like each other and have a building animosity for each other. And the sports writer community, John Gruden, who was doing the color analysis for ESPN last night, said it's the worst thing he's ever seen. This is horrible. This shouldn't have happened. Juju Smith-Schuster, number 19, wide receiver Steelers, should have been thrown out of the game for the hit on Vontaze Burfict. Others said, hey, Burfict just got exactly what he dishes out every Sunday. And they're not far wrong in that. I mean, Burfict's the kind of guy, when he's on your team, you love the guy. You support. When he's not on your team, you want him to sent jail. Tough competitor. But at home, he's supposedly soft-spoken, gentle family man, father of 3 girls. After one of these games, number 24, cornerback for the Bengals, Adam Jones, submitted a video on Facebook where he accuses Steelers of being all gangsters. Ramon Foster, an offensive lineman for the Steelers, said last night was the first time he's ever been scared to play football after seeing what happened to Ryan Shazier. Again, the Shazier hit, there was nothing illegal about it. He just dove straight into the Bengals players trying to tackle right into his side, and you could see in slow motion his neck just compress. And he immediately reached for with his right hand behind his back to his middle of his back and rolled over and didn't move other than his arms. So we have just one little soundbite on this. It's from Good Morning America today. Correspondent T.J. Holmes is talking to Robin Roberts and Michael Strahan, who played for the Giants, about the hit that number 19 wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster put on Vontaze Burfict.
We got a scary reminder of just what you guys, really put on the line every single play. It can be a life-changing event every play. That hit on Vontaze Burfict, look at it again, folks. That is what they're trying to get out of football. And then another hit, and Antonio Brown on a touchdown that he caught in the end zone. You see his head snap back. This is the only game last night. This was a showcase game for the NFL, and this is what the country got to see. A great game, but it's overshadowed now by the brutality.
When you do see guys who take shots at other guys, that's so unnecessary. We now know have long-term effects. And this is where guys need to realize this is not about right now. This is about your future. I've been out there and you've seen a guy's leg snap, and you can hear it. And you're out there on the field and you're looking at the guy you have to play against. You're both looking at each other like, we really have to do this. But then it's business as usual.
And they asked Charles Woodson, who's on the ESPN team, in the postgame, said, Charles, when stuff like this happens, it's happened when you've been playing. How do you go on? And Charles Woodson said, you realize it's your job. We're professionals, and you got to go on. And it's true. I still don't have a firm update on Shazier. The last I heard was that he was going to be let out of the hospital today in Cincinnati and go back to Pittsburgh, and did not need surgery. But this happened. The Steelers were playing in Tennessee against the Titans way back before the Roethlisberger era, and Tommy Maddox, the quarterback, fell straight down on his head. Head hit the ground, he's upside down, and you can see that the neck compressed there, and his legs went immediately limp, and he was paralyzed below his waist for about 12 hours. And the Steelers didn't, but he only missed a week. He was out 1 week and came back and played. So some of the sports were, Shazier could be back after a week. They're thinking that Juju Smith-Schuster, number 19 for the Steelers, is going to be suspended because they suspended Gronkowski from the Patriots for a hit that he made against the Buffalo Bills player after the whistle. This at least happened during play. So, and next week the Steelers have the Ravens, and they hate them even more than the Bengals, and vice versa. Now, you heard this guy say, T.J. Holmes, this is the showcase game. This is not what the league wanted. Folks, I'm not so sure. I think this game last night has more people talking about what happened on a field in an NFL game for the first time this season. For the first time, more people are talking about a game rather than kneeling, sideline protests, social causes, and whatever else. So we shall see. Back in a second. Sports writers are all saying, why would they keep helmet to helmeting each other? Why keep hitting each other in the head once they saw what happened to Shazier? Doesn't work that way. Adrenaline, competition, heated rivalry, trying to separate receivers from the ball, or paying back number 55, Vontaze Burfict, for what he did to Antonio Brown 2 years ago. Number 19, wide receiver, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Juju Smith-Schuster, has been suspended for 1 game. So has George Iloka. He put the helmet-to-helmet hit on number 84, Antonio Brown, in the game-tying touchdown in the end zone. It was an attempt to separate Brown from the ball. Ball was held onto by Brown. He gets a game suspension, and let's see, don't know about fines yet, but those are the suspensions. Probably just the tip of the iceberg for that game.